What is going on, MVP podcast? It's your boy, Mitch Gibson, joined by a special guest and actually contestant and competitor of the Protege, Mr. Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith comes to us all the way from out west in the Oklahoma parts and the Texas parts of this world. He doesn't have a cowboy hat on, so I'm kind of a little bit disappointed, but I don't think he's the cowboy type. He is fourth generation insurance agency, owner of Smith and Sons Insurance Agency. And man, do I see you all over LinkedIn, first of all. And second of all, I can't wait to get to know you a little bit more. I know you a little bit because we've chatted a little bit. But man, you're doing big things out west, and I can't wait to see if we can change some young agents' life today. So first off, Ryan, appreciate your time and energy, and thanks for joining the show today.
Yeah, appreciate it, Mitch. Happy to be here. I have a cowboy hat, but I don't wear it often. Only when I'm going to, a Turnpike Troubadour show or something like that.
Turnpike Troubadour. We don't know what that's called here in Central Indiana. Tell me what that is. What's a Turnpike Troubadour?
The Turnpike Troubadours? Oh, it's one of the greatest red dirt bands that you're going to find. They've been on a hiatus for about 3-4 years, but they're back, man. Look them up.
Backing at it. Now, let me ask you something real quick before we get going. I'm going to go a little personal because I don't usually get into the personal life too much. But tell me a little bit about your personal life, your personal self, your family, things that things that you do. How long have you lived in the Oklahoma, Texas area? Kind of give us a background of what's Ryan Smith's life like outside of the insurance agency.
Yeah, happy to. Well, born and raised in Lawton, Oklahoma, which is southwest corner of the state. I'd like to tell people I survived 19 years here. People in Oklahoma have a certain feeling about Lawton. To me, it wasn't all that bad, but a lot of times you'll find that town name on lists of like most dangerous cities to live or like to raise a family or something like that. So there's quite a bit of poverty in the area, and there's a military base just outside of town. So there's some characters around town, that's for sure. But anyway, moved to Oklahoma City, and that's where I went to college, University of Central Oklahoma. That's where I met my wife. We both got jobs there in the area, settled down, got plugged into a church, and got real heavily involved with a few couples. We created a small group, and now, the same 5 couples have been meeting for 7 years every Tuesday for tacos and Bible study. And
that's awesome.
So now we all have, I think our group has more than doubled because we all have kids and they've grown up together. So it's a beautiful thing. When I'm not at work, I'm either hanging out with my 5-year-old son and my wife. I'm playing handball, or I'm doing some gardening, walking the dogs, or going hunting. I'm a bow hunter, and the season just finished up and unsuccessful for me this year, but had some great encounters and spent a lot of great time in nature. Love doing stuff like that.
Now you talk about handball. I think I know handball is a little bit more popular in the Midwest than I think a lot of people might know. And I've seen it at our local gyms or, family fun and fitnesses or wellness centers, whatever it is. But for those who don't know what handball is, you actually have a pretty close connection with the Handball Association. You're president of this Handball Association, correct? Tell us a little bit about that. How long have you been doing that? And how'd that get interested, or how'd that interest you to start?
Yeah, my dad played. I'm not really sure how he got into it, but he introduced my brother and I, back when I was probably 14, 15 years old. And I played in a couple tournaments in high school, wasn't any good. Couldn't even throw the ball with my left hand, my offhand. So it's an ambidextrous sport. You got to be able to use both hands. And that's why I love it. It's such a challenge. It's all about hand-eye coordination. So that's why it'll be real popular, like on an Army base or Air Force bases. It's hand-eye coordination, and you're having to move your body in such a way that, I don't know, if you have an 18-inch extension on your arm by holding a racket, that seems like cheating to me. So handball is what's up. It's called the perfect sport because you have to have precision. You have to be thinking fast and move quick and anticipate the other player. So it's a great sport. Not a president. The guys I play with give me a hard time, but there was really no official presence in Oklahoma for the United States Handball Association. So I volunteered to be the chair for Oklahoma.
Chair, that's what it was. I knew I'd mess it. I knew I couldn't have that good of an introduction. I knew I had to mess it up somewhere.
No, the thing is, I'm not that important. Really, all it is I'm just sending emails to local players and saying, there's a tournament coming up here, or, some guys in this town want to get together and play. I've got a list of players in Oklahoma, somewhere between 100, 150, but most of those are retired. If you find people playing handball, there's a good chance that the majority of them are over 70 years old. It's not real popular for young people, but truly for me, I see the benefit or the potential benefit for baseball players and basketball players and soccer players, people that need that hand-eye coordination. It's a great sport. Like I already mentioned, it's ambidextrous. You got to be able to use your offhand, and think about that in baseball or in basketball. There's a huge benefit there. So I know there are programs around the country where young people can learn about the sport and be introduced to it, and that can really help in developing those skills for other sports.
I think it's kind of crazy when you set up, you were talking about this dude that's got an 18-inch extension. I think that same way in the game of baseball, when that 6'7", 6'8" dude's on the mound, it's like, dude, when he steps, he's halfway to the daggone home plate. Of course, he's going to throw at 96 mile an hour. And then you got 5'10" Mitch here, who literally has to use every single muscle in his body to get it to home plate. It's so unfair. It's unfair, but I think nothing's fair in this world. So we'll just have to bite the bullet, and I'll be short the rest of my life. You seem like a tall individual. Are you 6 foot, 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah, 6'1".
Whew. So I'll tell you what, Ryan Hanley, I don't know if you've met Ryan or seen Ryan yet. Ryan is the most, he looks so, just an average 6 foot, 6'1" dude behind camera. But when I went to the Brain Share conference back in September in San Antonio, this dude's 6'5", every bit of 6'5". And I was like, whoa, hold on. What's up with all these insurance guys behind the camera looking as tall as me? And then I see them and I'm looking at their chest. Like it's not fair. It's not fair.
Like David Carruthers, James Jenkins. These guys are a lot taller than you might think they are, right?
They are very tall. And that's Bradley Flowers. I'll tell it right now. Bradley Flowers is as short as I thought he was. So I'm at least okay with that.
Yeah.
Now,
actually,
risk management. Go ahead.
First conference with the big eye that I ever went to as a young agent, Ryan Hanley was like the keynote speaker there. And so I got to fanboy out a little bit, take a selfie with him and, pull his ear for a while. But that's the only one of these guys I've really met other than Jason Cass.
Sure. And he's just as short as I am too. So he is. Now you talked about, we're talking about risk management, obviously, and with what you've done, you've been in this, you've been a fourth generation insurance agent. You studied risk management. And we were talking before we got on the show, you're probably that smaller percentage of agents who actually went to school and studied risk management. I didn't. I studied telecommunications, doing stuff like this on a podcast, on the radio, whatever it was. And then I had to learn insurance. From somebody who's had to learn insurance, has that been such a huge help? I guess your first couple starts, your first couple of years of being an insurance agent, was that extremely beneficial? Knowing, hey, I've learned how to mitigate risks for the last 4 years of my college career, or however long you went to school. Did you find it beneficial? Did you find things you'd learned that you wish you would have learned earlier, things in that nature? What can you give us some feedback on that for maybe someone who's looking to maybe study risk management?
Sure. Yeah. It's hard to say, because I know I have the experience of having not studied before I, got into insurance, but truthfully, most of the classes I took in college, University of Central Oklahoma, there was an insurance and risk management program in the finance department in the College of Business. I went to UCO on a music scholarship. I was playing the cello, had a scholarship, and it didn't take me long to figure out that I'm not nearly as good as I think I am, and I'm not going to make a career out of this. So what do they got going on in the business school? Well, it turns out they got an insurance program. I figured family business, I could maybe make a run at that for my career. It was 5 or 6 classes, so maybe 3 of them were principles of insurance and risk management, life and health, and a little bit more of the, I think the third one was like commercial insurance. And then there were, the risk assessment and treatment, risk control, risk financing. So those were the topics that were really interesting to me. The other ones, the principles, it was, I still joke with a classmate of mine, it's like, I miss insurance Jeopardy is what we would play every week. It's like, you're just learning terms and, the lingo of the industry. I probably learned more than I realized, but nowadays you can take those classes, and if you pass the course, then you qualify for a designation. That wasn't the case in my situation, but I got an internship for my last semester of college at AAA Insurance in the underwriting department. And that turned into a full-time job, associate underwriter. And that's when I realized that I have all the textbooks from the institutes that I could just take the same tests and earn a designation. So my first designation was an associate in risk management. And again, it was the same topics, the same exact textbooks that I already had. So I liked that. Like I said, I liked the risk management aspect of it. That's why when a position opened up at an oil and gas company in the risk management department in Oklahoma City, I jumped at that. And it was a great opportunity for me, getting to work with a risk manager. It was just she and I for this company. But oil and gas was a hard industry to be in at that time. I was there for 3-4 months before the first layoff at our company. And then I survived that. And over the next 3 years, there were 4 more layoffs and a bankruptcy. And so it was kind of a mess. It was stressful. I had a kid, a newborn at home. So it was kind of like, maybe I'll find something more stable. Anyway, honestly, I didn't get to use much of that risk management knowledge or those theories that I learned in classes. To be honest, I was the guy reading the policy, making sure that we got the same policy we were quoted, just like your clients are doing now, right? Or you hope they are. Paying the bills, inputting, data. That was kind of my job there. But I did get to sit in the meetings and find out how Aon and Lockton and Price Forbes and some of these huge global firms, how they operate and how they service clients. And so that was the main takeaway for me in my role at that company. Well, when the 4th layoff came around, and again, I did not get laid off, I was thinking there's people getting laid off that are doing good work, and I'm just entering data here. So maybe it's time for me to step away. So that's what I did. And over the year or so before that, my dad and I had talked about me starting at the agency. So I thought, I've got some good commercial insurance experience now. I can come into the agency. My uncle's ready to retire. And so my dad bought out my uncle's share in the company, and I came in and started working on the commercial book of business that my uncle, his whole career was based on. Well, it wasn't too long before I realized I'm not going to be using my risk management, risk financing techniques and things that I've learned with all these minimum premium, mom and pop shop restaurants and plumbers and things like that. So the lessons there, they're still there, and I'm still super interested in applying those. It's just that for the most part, I haven't been able to on the current book of business. Now, when it comes to prospecting and kind of getting into this Protege competition, that's what I'm real excited about is actually showing people, listen, you've got these things going on in your organization that the systems can be changed in just a small, minor way, and it's going to have big impact for you on, let's say, your workers' comp, right? The small things you can do in your safety that translate into your experience mod coming down over a period of years. You're saving money in the long run. It's the total cost of risk conversation. Sure. And so that's where I think that maybe some of that advantage, I guess you'd say, of having that degree comes into play is, it didn't take me 2 or 3 years just to learn the lingo that maybe another agent might have taken them, because, like I said, I learned that in Insurance Jeopardy in class. So
I wish I would have had Insurance Jeopardy just for the hell of it, because I tell you what, that was probably the hardest thing. I can talk, I can sell, I can do that stuff. But what the hardest thing for me, because I wasn't a put my head in the book guy back in 5 years ago. It wasn't me. It's not how I learned. Some of us learn differently, but I wish, the terms came quicker and easy. But I think at the end of the day, it's a process of everything. You just talked about, you spent your college years learning, doing all this, doing the Jeopardy, going through the risk management, the financial processes of stuff, the total cost of risk, like you said. Knowing what total cost of risk meant would have been absolutely amazing for me to know when I first started insurance. But you don't know these things. Things change, they evolve over time. We see how things have changed in the last 5 years that I've seen in the industry. Things are going to continue to change. So I think that's, when you say that, the biggest thing is for these young agents. And if you're listening to this, it's okay to adjust. I wouldn't say make a full flip change, adjust. Like Ryan's done what he's needed to do, but now it's time for Ryan to adjust. Ryan wants bigger, better things. He's going to use the, the degree and the concepts of learning that he did back in college at the University of Central Oklahoma. He's about to put them in use in real time now. So it's taken how many years that was, I'm not going to ask, but it's now gone to the point where, this stuff I learned back 5, 6, 7 years ago is now coming into play, where it's going to help me out at a, massive rate. It's continuing education. And I think it's important that when you are doing continuing education, that you're identifying what key factors is going to help you out in your business. Not just taking the CE classes to get you 24 credits, and get out. No, identify what the criteria and what that specific, topic you want to learn about, or something you want to grow in 2022, 2023. What is it that I can do to help myself? Because at the end of the day, you are by yourself. I mean, us as insurance agents, we're individual. I mean, we're called independent insurance agents for a reason, so you need to, you're in control of your own knowledge. How are you going to educate yourself to make yourself a better insurance agent, where you can help other people in your community, in your town, and then eventually be able to help other insurance agents? And that's what you're doing. I mean, you're at that point where, like, I'm ready for growth. I'm going to get involved in the Protege, because that's going to give me a pretty good lead step of my career path for the rest of my career in the insurance industry. So what was it that clicked, and what kind of, lit a fire underneath your ass, and for better terms, that I want to get into the Protege, and not necessarily the competition aspect of it, but, the whole fact of I get to learn with some of the best coaches and best mentors in our industry. When was that? What kind of clicked for you? Says, I want to try this out and get into it.
Yeah, I'll get there. The thing that I would say about everything you said, is I spent all this time in college not really caring too much about the grades I made, as long as I graduate. But
sure,
now that I'm, an agent, and our agency has been a part of our, the Oklahoma Big I for years and years and years, way before I was born. And that's been probably the biggest help for me, is just the networking and finding mentors in that group, getting involved at that level, and they're not necessarily just agents. It's company
sure.
representatives, underwriters, premium finance representatives. These are people that have really shaped my career way more than just a degree in insurance and risk management. It's those connections, and again, through that, getting plugged into CIC courses, and man, those are tough courses. That Insurance Jeopardy stuff, that was
nothing. Yeah.
CIC, that's where you go to learn about insurance, the nitty gritty. So, but then going along with that, is there's so much information that's made available to agents, and I have gained
Say that again.
So much value.
Say that again for the people in the back, Ryan, because I don't think people understand and know that enough. Say that one more time.
It blows my mind that people don't realize how much information and value can be gained from just listening to podcasts. All these industry podcasts, I guess I'm lucky in a sense. I have an hour and a half commute to get from my home to where I'm sitting right now. The agency is in southwest corner of the state. I live in Oklahoma City. I'm not going to raise my family where the agency is. At least that doesn't make sense for me right now. So it didn't take too long for me to find out there are these insurance podcasts and thought leaders and real agents that are discussing these things that I can learn from. And so that started with Hanley, and then I got introduced to Cass, and then here comes David Carruthers, and I'm like, whoa, now wait a minute, who is this guy? And so I actually I did a call with David. It was probably early 2020 to find out about Killing Commercial, and I was blown away. And I'm like, yes, middle market. That's what I want my career to be focused around. I can figure out how to deal with the smaller accounts that we've got on the book and help those, because we've got clients in our book of business that have been clients for decades, way longer than, I've been around. And so there's value there as well. But the career that I see for myself, the vision I have, is helping people with risk assessment and treatment in their businesses. And so with that value comes higher premiums, higher revenue. And so it completely shifted my vision and I guess the approach that I want to take to it. But there's no way that I could have justified getting into Killing Commercial at the stage I'm at. And so that's kind of how David came up with the Protege. And so I was watching every episode. I was taking notes. I was real into season 1, and I kept kicking myself for not entering in the competition last year. So when word came out that there's going to be season 2, get your videos in, it started making sense for me. Okay, this is how I'm going to stand out so that David sees me. So I don't know if you've had the chance to watch all the submission videos. I enjoyed watching all of them. Like Sean Kirby's.
This is hysterical.
Oh man. So
yours is pretty daggone good too. I'm like, what's he going to have next? What's this next scene going to be like? You did a phenomenal job, by the way.
Ridiculous.
I know a lot of people have been, I know since it was kind of it was an odd way for me to be a part of it. But for those out there that have been pissed off or ticked that I didn't have to put a submission video in, don't worry. I still have to do it. It's happening. I have to have it done. I have to have it finished editing and bring it over to the Dropbox by tomorrow. So I have done. I'm in the middle of finishing it. So don't worry, people. I'm not just getting a free ticket into this thing. So I'm still gonna have to do everything you guys are. I just had to interrupt there.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching that.
There were some pretty good ones, man. And what I love about the whole thing is it teaches you to open up and be yourself. And that's kind of the whole point. From what I'm getting from it so far, is that's the whole point. We're all scared to do that one next thing, or we're nervous. Should we take this step? I'm nervous because I'm afraid what people are going to say when I explain this, or whatever that is. That he's teaching us, and he's teaching people how to take that leap, jump off the edge and try something new and try something different. And that's why I think this show is going to be so beneficial to myself, because I have been that little, chicken shitter, that sissy that hasn't wanted to go after that $250,000 account because the lack of, I feel like I'm not knowledgeable enough to go impress that guy. So yeah, I mean, the different types of agents that are part of this are cool, because not only are we going to learn from our coaches, we're going to learn from the peers that are part of this program.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to learn crap from you that you're going to learn, different things that you're going to learn from me and Sean, right, and this and that. That's the fun thing about this industry is everyone wants to help. We're all here to help one another. We're competitors, but we're not. I mean, take what learn from stuff, but take it and go put it to action. And that's the lack of the knowledge, or the lack of, people who don't make it in this industry, is they're afraid that to ask for help. They're afraid to watch a podcast. They're afraid to listen to a podcast because they feel like all the thing that matters to them is I got to get in the office right premium. I mean, yeah, in a sense, that's what you've got to do. But one thing that you said a few minutes ago before we started talking about everybody's, videos for the Protege, the intro videos. What I liked when you said I want to go after middle market. You didn't jump straight to, because some people that are listening to the show don't know what middle market means. Okay, we say middle market, 250,000 in premium or more. Okay, so we're six figure premiums, massive premium. So when we're talking about, middle market, big time numbers, the first thing you said wasn't about premium, of why this interests you. You said something that added value to that customer. This is why I want to do this, because it helps add value. I forget exactly the three things that you went into, but you had an answer of why this was exciting to you, not the money. And it goes back to, I think a couple episodes ago, Derek Hayden, the Protege winner. Derek Hayden said, he goes, once I got to the part of understanding, I've got to have a strong value proposition. And if my value is strong, if my proposition is strong, I'm going to win. Because we can all talk, we can all sell, we can all make relationships, we can all network. But what the hardest part for some people is understanding that insurance isn't just a transaction. Insurance is a relationship with that customer. How can you help that customer? By adding value to them. That's going to help build relationships, going to get you the insurance, probably going to get you the insurance policy. And it's going to end up paying you out pretty well. That's what you want, right? That's what we're all about. Probably because of how old your agency is. You guys were in 1923. Is that what you said?
That's right.
Started in 1923. I mean, this isn't probably it was probably great, just engraved into your head that, hey, insurance is all about helping and adding value to other people. This is what we're about. This is what we're doing. This is how we can do it. This is how we've been doing it. Now let's go out and do it at a bigger scale. Is that kind of where your mind's at?
I think so. I mean, I was never pressured or really even asked to pursue insurance. Now, maybe if I'd stumbled through college or flunked out or something like that, then it would have been okay, you need to come work at the agency so you can start building the resume or something like that. But no, it was a decision I made. I can see how my personality type and the way I want to make a career, I can see how the insurance agency could be the way to do that. And yeah, it's helping people and helping businesses, the people within those businesses, to improve their operations, to fix a system or to make things more safe. And ultimately, what we do could save someone's life, right? You can address a situation at someone's organization, say in a manufacturing plant or something like this, where you ask them one question about, well, why is it being done that way? Doesn't that seem a little sketchy to you? Or, and that they might say, yeah, you're right. And then that could have a huge impact, not just for their business, but for their employees and for that employee's family. And so there's so much more than just the insurance. And that's something that I've struggled with in this industry, is insurance is reactive, and people don't like insurance because of that. They just see it as, I'm paying for this stack of paperwork that's not going to do me any good unless something terrible happens. Sure. Well, yes, but you can use that as guardrails for your organization. And so that's why the education piece of it is so important, to know what's in the policy language, what's covered, what's excluded, what does the company need to do because of that. And so that's how figuring that out is kind of like a puzzle, and it can be pretty fun that way. So this whole Protege thing has, it's probably, one, a breath of fresh air, but two, it's probably, for me, I love a challenge. I love a good old challenge. That's probably one of my favorite things. I'm the most competitive human being you'll probably ever meet, no matter what sport we're playing. I'd go play handball like I was Ryan Smith, knowing what handball is, just because I love a good competition, which I'd probably get my butt kicked. But we're gonna make it happen now. We've got to. I don't ask me to play the cello, because I will break the strings. I will break the strings of the cello. What kind of things you do in Big I? You're involved with Big I a little bit, aren't you? Yeah, I am. I'm the current vice chair for the young agents for the Big I of Oklahoma. So
perfect.
Come June or July, I'll be the chair. And I've been involved with them since March or April of 2020. So I think we had one meeting, and it was oh, let's not meet again for another 8 months or something like that, except virtually. So the young agents has been a really fun group. just the connections that I've made, not just within the committee, but people that are involved, and they show up to the lunch networking events and things like that, and the conferences. That's been so fun. And that's been the way that I've been able to meet people like Hanley and Cass. And I think that there's a bit of an issue that people might have with groups like that, because young talent is so hard to find right now. And so they're afraid of sending their people to these events because if somebody else recruits them, that whole thing. For me, I don't have to worry about that, because I know that I want to stay in the family business and stay with that. But I can see why that's a concern for other agency owners. But I think the benefit of being plugged in with those groups and finding mentors through those associations, I think it far outweighs the risk of losing someone. Don't you think that that's part of why they would leave you, is because you wouldn't allow them to get involved in the first place, right?
I'll tell you, I never got involved in the, PIA Young Agents committees, or, I probably should have. I wish I would have. But, as we was telling Cass this the other day, and everybody, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. Everybody's agency is different. Yours is different than ours. Mine's different than Johnny's. Mine's different than Sean's, whatever it might be. But you learn so much as a young agent of the do's and the don'ts. So, the things I try to think about is, what things would I do differently, or what things would I keep the same when my time comes to be the, full-blown agency owner of the agency. What is one thing that you see in those big eye young agents, groups, or, young agents in general? What's one thing that you see that is commonly lacked? Is it the lack of knowledge? Is it the, I don't know anything about insurance, I'm just going to see what it is? Do you notice any consistent things that young agents, are lacking? Maybe different than how agents were 5-10 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe?
I don't know that I could speak too well to that, just, having been involved only for about 3-4 years now. But I think something that's really missing is the education piece and getting young people interested in insurance. And there's a program that the Big I has called Invest. And it's a program that high schools and VOTEX and, I suppose colleges as well, but getting young people to learn about insurance, not just as a topic, but as a career, and how there's so many different spots or positions within the industry that you might not be in sales, you might be a marketing mind. And there's so much use for people like that and talent like that. But there's a lot of disconnect there between high school students and the insurance industry. It's like, are you kidding me? Why in the world would I go sit behind a desk and a stack of paperwork all day? But like we've been talking about, it could be so much more interesting than that. And so I think the industry has a PR problem when it comes to that, right? We're talking with Flo and a Gecko and, Jake and all this, but
no, don't forget about Chris Paul, and don't forget about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, those guys too. So I think that's part of the problem. As I've been involved in the Young Agents Committee, we've had, I think there's 8 to 10 of us that sit on the committee. And in the past 2 years, we've seen so much change in just those eight people. It's like a 2 or 3 year term. And, we've switched so many people because they're getting out of the industry, or they're going to this company, or they're moving out of state, and so it just happens, and that's okay. But it's getting harder and harder to fill those spots. One thing that the Big I of Oklahoma has is a program called FILO, Future Insurance Leaders of Oklahoma. And it's for young people that are somewhat new to the industry. They get into this program where they hear from underwriters and claims and loss control exactly what those processes are like. And then there's another session for dealing with the marketing and sales aspect, and another for leadership, and another for a service project. And it's kind of this program that's pretty unique to our state that gets young people together different agencies, from different companies, and they can bounce ideas off one another and hear from people that have been in the industry for years and years. Anyway, it's a way to develop these younger agents and underwriters, and so they're a little bit more invested and want to continue those relationships and continue on in insurance. And for the Young Agents Committee, you have to have completed that FILO class in order to serve on the committee. So that's kind of a way for us to get people in and connected. That's pretty fun. I think it's a good program.
I think that's a genius program, because what kind of made my eyes light up was when you were talking about how, there's other parts of this industry that are so unseen, the underwriting, the marketing, the field rep. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I would have known how, I'm too invested in my career now to jump off and go that route, but I would have loved to learn about in high school or in college what else comes within the insurance industry. Yeah, the agent is the guy that everybody looks at, right? That's the agent's I guess the superhero when it comes to either saving money, or he's the villain when you screw him over or his premium goes up $300 for the year. You're both sides of it, right? But what I would have loved to know is what types of other jobs inside the industry can I, that would interest me. I mean, there's tons now. I mean, heck, being a field rep, going around buying everybody a bunch of beers, going to lunch and, shaking hands and kissing babies with your agents. That's awesome. Sweet. I mean, that is fun, right? I'm being an underwriter. You get to underwrite. Why should this agent, why should I write this piece of business for this agent? What makes this piece of business good? What makes this piece of business scary for us? It's not our appetite. Here's why. One thing that probably helped me out the most, and you might be able to, I guess, agree with me, is how important it was for me to develop a good relationship with my underwriter. I mean, super, super important, because your underwriter, young agents, your underwriter is going to be the one is the one that says yes or no. I mean, that you have to sell the underwriter just as much as you have to sell the policy to the customer. The underwriter is there for one reason, so he doesn't lose money for the insurance carrier. That's primarily what they're there for. So if you go bring a risk to your underwriter and the underwriter's like, man, now they're PC9 woodworking shop, and then you go back and cuss them out and you get mad at them because they're not wanting to write the business with you. Well, first off, did you just hear why she said she doesn't want to write that piece of business? That's the difference between understanding the education piece. That's understanding why this is not a good risk, understanding why it's not. I probably wouldn't have sent it to that carrier knowing that carrier is going to immediately say no. It's a woodworking shop in a PC9 with the nearest water source 10 miles away. Not good. Not good, right? Things like that's interesting to me. I didn't know something like that was even a thing.
Right.
Claims. I mean, a claim is the reason why I got into this industry, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing when I got in an accident. No clue what I was doing. But it wasn't like Jake from State Farm like I thought it was. And that's when it opened my eyes up to, this industry is pretty daggone cool. Let me give it a shot. Then you meet all these great people who are masterminds, who are, changing the industry. They're changing the industry as the industry is changing. And you learn from those guys. Next thing you know it, you're like, wow, this place is pretty cool. This industry is fun. I think it is the biggest and most hidden secret in the business, in any business. It is a very, very hidden gem that I wish more people would get involved in, but they're scared because of how we are, how we are perceived on television. The Geico, the Flo, Jake from State Farm. Those guys right there are the reason why it makes other people kind of scared from this industry, and I don't like that very well. I don't know about you.
It's the greatest industry God ever invented, right?
I'll say yes. I will agree. You're talking to an insurance nerd too, bud. I get it. I'm in. I couldn't agree more.
No, I think that there's way more opportunity for young people in the industry. That being said, there's a lot of changes going on, and that's kind of why I'm more focused on going after larger accounts. Is because I think that's where the independent agent in 10, 15 years or more or less, who knows, that's where you're going to be valuable, is being able to work with people on larger accounts. The smaller accounts are going to be automated. They're going to be, in not call centers. Do call centers even exist? I can't get anyone on the phone anymore, but there's so much misconception about what your life might be like if you get into insurance. And so programs like Invest that I mentioned, or I know the Big I of North Carolina has a really interesting development or educational program for, I think, high school students, college students, even people that are not students, but they're wanting to get in the industry, and you can get licensed through that. I'd love to learn more about that. But and then there's a group. So at universities that have an insurance and risk management department or degree, a lot of those are a part of a club or a fraternity called Gamma Iota Sigma. And so that's I went to a conference through that group, and that's where my decision to go into insurance was solidified. Is this underwriter was presenting, and he kind of explained how you can be in any industry you want and be a specialist and spend all your time thinking about and focusing on this industry. You are in the, furniture manufacturing industry, but actually you're a specialist in insurance. And so, you can, when you tell people, right, when you go to a party and people ask you, like, what do you do? Do you just say, oh, I'm in insurance, and then they walk away, right? You just watch them walk away. Or do you find a different way to talk about that?
I still to this day, when someone asks me, I literally think, oh, should I tell them? What should I say? Should I say this or should I say that? But you're right. Like, what do you say? Like, what's the best way to put this to where it doesn't sound so blah?
Yep.
And it is. It sounds blah. It sounds so bad. And then you say, I'm a risk advisor. I'm a risk advisor. What the hell is a risk advisor?
Yeah.
It's true. What do you call yourself? So, like, on your bottom of your signature, I've had this conversation a lot. When you are typing out an email and you get your signature on the bottom, where your title is, what do you put by that? What should someone put?
That's a good question. I think right now it says like business insurance broker.
Okay.
It's been a few different things before, but
sure.
I like the sound of risk advisor, but
then again, it's who in the heck knows what a risk advisor means,
right? Yeah,
right. And you say insurance agent, the instant thought is Jake from State Farm. Mitigation specialist. Some people don't know what the heck mitigation means.
Sure.
I mean, you should.
Same thing on your LinkedIn profile, the deal under your name. It's like, what do you put there? I heard Jeb Blunt. Do you know that name?
I do.
Yep. He's got a podcast. I heard him talking about that. Like, if a salesperson is contacting me, I want to know exactly what they do. I don't want to be confused by, their profile. Well, what does catalyst for this mean? Like, no, you're a business insurance broker. Okay. I know exactly what you do. So that's kind of that's where I'm at now with it anyway.
No, I kind of like that. And I think it could lead in. I'm gonna start asking that question. I think as part of the show, because I really want to know how other insurance agents are thinking in that case. Because if you're sending, whether it's you're sending a video of, through Vidyard or Loom, whatever it might be, to try to get the prospect's attention. Hey, this video is for you, yada, yada, yada. How much time do they spend going to the bottom of that? Are they going to click on that video and then look at your name and say, oh, I know what this guy does at this point in time? Or are they going to have to go click a button to research who you are? Yep. I was always told if someone has to click a button to find out who you are when you're introducing yourself in a video or in an email, you didn't tell them enough. So I think that might be something for people to dive deeper in and ask themselves, if I was to read this, or hell, even send it to 5 people that have nothing to do with insurance. Say, hey, I want to try something. I just want to get your opinion. Can you please give me some feedback? Run a little field study on it and see what people really think. try it in 3 different ways and see which one someone understood the best way, because I think that can really, really make a difference. And when you're putting together your marketing strategy for the year, or you're, planning out, if I'm going after these big middle market prospects, what's the best way for them to find out who I am, the quickest and easiest way, so they're not having to read articles and articles and articles and articles. My LinkedIn would be the worst thing for me to send somebody who I'm trying to sell insurance to, because there's nothing but insurance stuff about agents, producers. I use that to connect with other agents. That's my big way of using that. And I don't think many agents understand and identify, hey, if I'm going to have a LinkedIn profile, and I learned this from Charles Speck. Charles Speck's absolutely genius. If you haven't listened to Charles Speck, go find him on the network here on the Agency Intelligence Network and listen to his show. That dude knows how to market on LinkedIn. And when he opens your mind up to so many creative things that you're like, man, that makes total sense. I've got a post about baseball. I've got a post about, the Indianapolis Colts sucking and not making it to the playoffs. I got a post in there about, the new agents producer school that I went to. You're not telling LinkedIn what you do. LinkedIn saying, who the heck's this guy? How am I supposed to get his content in front of his audience? Because there's no audience there. Yep. So helping your audience understand what you do is a key factor in your sales process. Do you, because I've had this a lot from young agents too, and I want to get your feedback on this. I don't know how long you've been doing, content or any type of digital media stuff, on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it is. But since you started doing that, have you noticed a nice return on investment as far as whether that's 1, your network growing, or 2, you've been able to get some accounts from it? Have you noticed a big, I guess, step from when you decided to do content compared to where you weren't, or have you been doing content this whole time?
I have not been doing content this whole time. And no, I haven't seen any accounts come in because of it yet. Last year, after BrainShare, where Marcus Sheridan was the presenter, I wasn't there, but
genius.
I paid attention afterwards. And there was a group that started that we kind of were challenging each other to put out videos as regularly as we wanted, but for like a 2-month period. And so I jumped on that, and I think I added, 30 or 40 videos to our agency YouTube in that 2 months. And really that just helped me to get comfortable. I knew nobody was going to watch it. I mean, unless I send it to somebody, nobody's going to stumble upon it, and that's fine. I don't really care. What I'm doing it for is to get familiar with it, I guess, to help the algorithm, and, so Google sees that there's some activity there, and I'm trying to be someone that's presenting ideas and lessons, educational anyway. But as far as LinkedIn goes, I don't know. I don't find a lot of my little videos to be super focused on insurance. That's something that I've been thinking a lot about the past few weeks. You mentioned Charles Speck. He's released a couple LinkedIn profile podcasts here within the last month or so, in December or January, that were just gold. And then, of course, that presentation we sat in on. But he made me change the way I think about that. Like, who am I using?
Same. He literally blew my mind.
Yeah. Is this just a network with other insurance people? Well, okay, maybe that's all right. But if I want to use this to connect with professionals that are prospects, or could be, then I got to change the way I'm posting and the topics and some of the stuff I'm putting out there. So that's kind of where I'm at now, is trying to transition less from the messages that are just general topics, just stuff to feel good about, or, a thought I had, and focusing more on like, here's a problem I see for my prospect. Here's my idea on how that can be addressed. And so I don't know, that's where I'm at now with LinkedIn.
Yeah. And when I scroll through LinkedIn, all I see is, other insurance agents posting and stuff. And the reason why, and I'm the same boat, the reason why Ryan and I's LinkedIn feed is just full of that. And you other agents out there who listen to this, who may not be, involved with LinkedIn, or maybe you're going through your LinkedIn thread and see, man, how the heck are these guys seeing all these podcasts? How is he seeing David Carruthers post this stuff? Because it only took 1 or 2 people that then you identified, oh, this guy's something else. And then as you start interacting with that guy, another insurance guy, that's when LinkedIn's like, oh, this guy wants to learn more about insurance. Your thread is going to be flooded with insurance content.
Yep.
So if you're young, understand that's probably the reason why some of this stuff has never came about to your mind or to your feed before. It wasn't for me. I mean, when I think if I go back 5 years, I look at my LinkedIn feed said it was about 2 or 3 different things. And it was about people that I went to school with, my professors, dream jobs, people that I was following, all these big name book writers that had nothing to do with insurance. Those are the people who I was interacting with because I was trying to meet as many people as I could. Well, let alone did I not know that I probably should have been interacting on the insurance side a little bit more because that would have helped my education a little bit quicker and I probably would have learned more stuff. I wish I would have learned this stuff back when it first started. I don't know about you. I really do wish there was something like this back 5 years ago. And unfortunately, that's just how this world works, man. The people, this industry is growing in a good way. We need more young agents because, as these old male, pale, and stale agencies start going left and right, bye-bye, that's less competition. But I don't like that because that means the industry is not going in the right place. And I know Ryan and myself would be happy to discuss and talk to you guys about any of this stuff. Ryan's a wealth of knowledge, obviously. If you can't tell, go ahead.
That's far too kind. The thing I would say about LinkedIn and what you're saying, is don't hear me complaining about what I see on LinkedIn because I've definitely made some beneficial connections and I've had some interactions with company reps and actually just got signed on with a work comp company last week. That's really going to help in the Protege competition is because of their appetite and some of the tools and tech that they have. So that came from LinkedIn. They saw me at LinkedIn. I think maybe I met somebody at a conference, but they're seeing me active on LinkedIn. And so they reached out and we got hooked up that way. But one of the lessons I took from Charles Specht in that presentation was that there's 3 ways to use content on LinkedIn. You're either a curator, a creator, or a communicator. And so those are kind of the ways. Go listen to his podcast to learn more about that. But
sure,
someone I see doing a great job of that is Micah Solis. Okay, I've not met before. He's an agent in Houston, maybe the Houston area. Not sure, but you will see his videos that at the top you can tell this is going to his prospects, and every once in a while you'll see him comment on one of his prospects and say, just 2 words, great job, or awesome video, or this or that. And so that's kind of what Charles is talking about there is you're communicating, you're letting that prospect know that you're there, you're building that familiarity. So maybe in the future, when they do have an insurance question that come up, they say, I know Mitch, he's been following us. He knows our situation. So let me reach out to him. And so,
what Ryan, the back end of this, I'm gonna ask you this question. You probably remember, obviously, but the reason why those 3, the creator, you're a curator, or you're a communicator, the reason why those 3 C's are so important because that's what makes up the algorithm of LinkedIn. So the more Ryan likes the prospects post, the more Ryan comments on them, hey, great job. The more Ryan connects with people that person's connected with, the more that your face and your post and your comments are going to pop up on that prospects thread, which is genius. It sounds so stupid and small, but we don't understand that. We don't pick it at a small, fine tooth comb to find out why those 3 words are important. Charles Specht does because Charles Specht has done this at a high level. What was Charles Specht? An insurance agent. What's he doing? Giving you a playbook for free. Learn it, do it, and go do it. And that's the biggest thing too, Ryan, is the amount of people that ask for advice or reach out and say, hey, can I spend 15 minutes? Or, I've did the same thing. I've spent 15 minutes with all these bigger name guys because I want to learn how they're doing it. If I want to be one of the best, if I want to be up on the top of those guys, you got to learn from the top guys. You got to surround yourself around those people, and they're there to help. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And then when they do give you the help, react to it. Because if you call them back or reach back out 2 years later and say, hey, I want to spend 15 minutes. And David Carruthers ask how the middle market's going from the hour and 25 minutes or 2 hours he spent with you over the last 3 years. And you said, I'm just still writing home and auto insurance. Do you think David Carruthers is going to spend any more time with you?
Yeah, I don't know. He's a very generous guy, but he's got a lot going on.
But you know what I mean? Like it's just that fact of, hey, I want help. You give someone help so much, and then they don't go do it. Exactly. What's this guy really wanting out of me? But he's just wanting something. He's wanting something from me at this point in time. But Ryan, real quick, I'm going to go into my 5 rapid fire questions. But before then, what's for the Protege? Not like we're going to be. I'm not trying to get anything out of you, but out of your three, I'll share one with you too. I don't care. Out of your 3 niches that you've selected, what's one that's kind of most exciting for you of a class of business that you want to go after in the middle market?
Yeah, so I kept it pretty broad. We'll see what the feedback on that is from David, but Oklahoma has really been growing steadily in new home construction, residential new construction, and so that's something that I'm really focused on. But within that, that's really broad.
Sure.
Within that, though, something I mentioned earlier that I'm pretty passionate about is landscaping and gardening. And I love spending time outside, and I'm super interested in that process, not on any sort of like farm level.
Sure.
I just got a little hobby, raised beds, but that's something I'm interested in going after, is like learning how to talk that specific lingo or address those needs in that specific way. And so finding out exactly how I can be a resource for that type of client, that's what I'm really excited about with this process.
Is there a YouTube page coming for landscapers?
We'll see.
There you go. I'm telling you, get out there and start show. I just think when you said that, I'm not like out there this just came to my mind, so I've got to say it. It's ADHD. But when you said that, I'm like, man, what do these landscapers do usually? And because I have a few of them, is they're looking up what type of products are out there. What's the new, way to edge a flower bed, or new way to edge this landscaping bed, whatever it might be. So that right there could be a genius, not necessarily a podcast, but say I'm sitting here with the rep for blah, 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 blah. Tell homeowners why it's so important to have good street appeal or something like that.
Yeah.
Because some homeowners, when you go back, say the landscaping, you go back to that, custom home builder, say, hey, look at this. This is some cool feedback I've been getting from my landscapers. It'd be cool if I could share it with your 4,000 home builders or your 4,000 customers that are out there. I don't know. That didn't come easy though, guys. That's something that I've learned from other people throughout the time. Your creativity of boom, idea just popped in my head. It doesn't just happen. It comes with, collaborating with other people. It comes with conversation that you're having with people. That right there is awesome. That's freaking cool. I like that idea. It makes me want to go out and start learning how to be Mr. Johnny Landscaper.
Yeah. You can have good ideas and even tell other people about them, but if you're not going to do the work, then what good is it?
That's what I did. There it is. It got you right back into that concept of, if someone's going to help you or say some stuff, do it or don't do it. If it's not fit for you, tell them, hey, I don't think this is going to work. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the communication part of it. Got to go into my 5 rapid fire questions. All right. I'll give you one of mine. I'm real interested. Obviously I said I was a telecommunications major in college. So that's radio and television is what I liked to do. I guess it kind of has nothing to do with what a niche that I'm going after, because I'm going to go after telecommunications and cell tower general contractors and service providers. The only reason that is because I was lucky enough to have a referral back when I first started. It's actually my first commercial lines account. First question you asked, well, give me a little bit of background. What do you guys do? And he immediately said, well, we do anything from climbing 300 feet up in the air to change a battery on an antenna, from erecting a cell tower from the ground up to, climbing up 20 feet just to change a little nut or bolt that's in that antenna. I go, anything from climbing 300 feet up in an air? Are you kidding me? So that, to me, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But the fun thing about it, and I said it first at the beginning of this episode, I'm not a big reader. I'm not a big diver into, hey, I want to read this whole entire, section of this commercial insurance book and learn how to know what cell tower servicing companies do. I wouldn't have done that. But then once it was interesting to me, you start diving into it and finding out that there's not really a market, not many markets for people that are in that industry. I luckily was able to find somebody in Georgia who that's all they do. They're the biggest compliance insurance carrier who work directly with the customer to help make sure that their certificates of insurance are compliant enough to where they can go get contracts from these tower owners, T-Mobile, Crown Castle, AT&T. If you go to an AT&T attorney, I guarantee you that criteria of language and forms is extremely so in depth that you think, oh, we can write that. Absolutely. Well, guess what? That company might write it, but I guarantee you that company's language is not going to be compliant enough for them to step foot and do work on that tower. A $20 million umbrella, like stuff like that. Like, it's because that's what that attorney says. And you're going to go fight that attorney and tell him that I don't know. You're not going to tell me to have a $20 million umbrella. So that was interesting to me. So I thought, with not many, carriers out there that are compliant for these general contractors, I thought that was it's going to be a little harder, but I like a challenge. I thought that might be a niche I wanted to try to go after. So there you go. I spilled the beans.
Right.
Had to. You got to any targets on your back, or any targets that you've got looking for any of the competition, the Protege that you're like, okay, he's going down other than me. We going to tag team and take Sean out?
There is some real competition out there for sure. I'm excited to see, how things play out from all the teams. I mean, there's some excellent coaches. The contestants are all top notch. I'm not going to name anybody, but there's a few that I'm like, okay, this young man or woman has some real potential to win this thing, and so I'm in it to win it, though, man. Watch out.
You're in it to win it, and one of my mentors has got your back, so that's cool. I'm thrilled to hear that news the other day. Kaz like, oh yeah, Ryan's my guy. I'm like, well, I guess that's what I get for not putting it in until last minute. So you got him. There's lots of people out there ready to help. Let's go to Fast Five. What'd you say?
I so appreciate Kaz. He was speaking at the Oklahoma Young Agents Conference, September, October last year, and the night before, I basically just kept everyone away and was asking them questions about, like, I'm going to submit to be on the Protege. I need your help, and so he really helped me out a ton with that. So definitely
glad to hear that. Glad you guys made the connection, because he's one of the most loving individuals I've ever met. So glad you guys made the connection, and he'll be a great asset. So keep that connection up, my man. Excuse me. Let's go into my 5 rapid fire questions. These are fun. Hopefully you don't say camo is your favorite color, but that's be question number 1. So what is your favorite color, Ryan?
Green. I like green.
Like, it's better than camo. It's part of
camo
it.
Forest green. How's that?
That's even better. Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Cookies and cream.
Okay. I like that idea. Cookies and cream's good. If you could spend 24 hours with anybody dead or alive, who would it be?
That is a good question. I'll have to say my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
I think I should just drop it in the show now, because that's the best. That's the best answer.
That's too easy. Did I pick it up?
No, that was good. That's really good. I liked it. No, that's amen to that. Amen to that, for real. If you could visit anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Oh, man, that's tough. I'd like to do a lot of traveling. The Mayan ruins have always been something that I'm super interested in. So just kind of doing a tour and seeing some of that.
Sure.
I think would be really cool.
That's nice. That's the first time that's been on the show too. I like it. Last question. just because I have to have some seriousness with this, and this show and what we do is all about making a difference and changing some people's lives, because podcasts change your lives, right? I mean, podcast helped us out tremendously, and that's kind of what this show is about. So if you could give any advice to young agents out there, who either just now getting started or even an agent that has never been in the industry, getting ready to get his feet wet, what could be some advice that maybe you've learned, went through, something you wish you would have done, that could benefit somebody out there?
Something I heard somebody say to me was like, get yourself a personal board of directors. And that has been really beneficial to me. I'm not nearly as consistent in reaching out to those mentors that serve in that capacity for me, but having not just a mentor, but having a few mentors, I think is huge. And it's one thing to say, I've got this mentor that I talk to maybe once a year or something like that, but
Sure.
Really getting some consistency and finding someone or more than one person, like I say, that they're going to be okay with you reaching out to them, asking them tough questions, asking for their candid feedback. And so having a mentor is so huge for me. It's so huge that I decided to get 4 or 5, and so not all of them are, have to do with my professional career. I've got a mentor who is a pastor, and I ask him tough questions about fatherhood and about marriage and about being a son to my parents, and just the hard things going on in my life. But yeah, I've got several that are in insurance, and some that are agency owners, and some that are not. So just having different sources of knowledge to kind of lean on and pull from has been really good for me.
I don't think you could have said it any better. I agree. I really do agree. Everybody thinks, oh, that's my mentor, or, I got to go talk to my mentor. How about, hey, I'm going to go have a fun. I'm going to go talk to my mentors. Love the pluralness of that word, because it's, when you said that, I'm like, man, do I have a board? Do I have a board of mentors? Because I don't know if I do, but you do, man. People think it, whether you do or not, you do. And there's people out there that want to be, and people that care about you, people out there that really want you to be successful. And it's okay to have some tough love from those guys. Those are the people that are going to make you better. Cass has said some things to me before that I just wanted to go over and just, grab them. But they do that because they love you and they care about you. And getting the mentorship is the single most, I think, important thing when it comes to your success and long-term success in this industry. So Ryan, you hit it right on the head, man. And I couldn't be thankful enough to have you on the show. I look forward to getting to know you even more as the show evolves. Look forward to seeing you in the finals, because that's what's going to happen. But if anyone did want to reach out to you, learn more about, things you're doing at the Big I, young agents that are trying to get some advice of, maybe trying to find some mentorships, just, or any in general questions, how could people get in contact with you and, bounce some ideas off of you?
Yeah. Well, if they're still listening, they know that LinkedIn is the spot I'm active. My email is ryan.smith@smithsonsinsurance.com. The place I'd tell you to go follow is on Facebook, OK Handball. It's Oklahoma Handball. You can find it on YouTube, Instagram. I don't post a ton on there, but like I told you a little while ago, I've got a tournament coming up here in Dallas, February 13th, 12th, 13th, 14th, I think. And so I'll be posting and live streaming some of my games on there, and would love some support there. Check out Oklahoma Handball.
Absolutely. And if you're having a wedding and need someone to play the cello, call Mr. Ryan Smith. He'll knock it out of the park. Well, Ryan, I appreciate your time, man. Keep making a difference. It's what this is about. And once again, I just thank you so much for coming on the show and being a friend of mine. So, any last words before I let this thing go?
Appreciate you, Mitch. Thanks for the time. Good luck in the Protege.
Absolutely, sir. Well, for Mitch Gibson, Ryan Smith, man, I appreciate everybody joining in the show and to the MVP podcast. Once again, always remember that you can make a difference. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on all those channels that he just mentioned: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Google Play, and the best, because I've got an iPhone, is Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. So go hit the subscribe button. We'll catch you next week on the MVP podcast. And once again, always remember that you can make a difference. Take care, everybody.